Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Yesterday was a little bit weird because our chat was held for, till noon yesterday. That never happens. Typically, the live chat replay will come back within 10, 15, 20 minutes of the live broadcast, but they held the chat yesterday, and I was racking my brain trying to figure out why they were holding the chat back. And then I realized that we had put out a call to ask people if they knew perfectly healthy people who were dropping out from heart failure, blood clots, and things like this. And overwhelmingly, probably half to three-quarters of you had known someone personally in your life that was perfectly healthy that dropped out because of some kind of heart issues or basically, blood clots and things. Now, we can't say why that happened, obviously. They're on this platform, or our theories about it. Not allowed to talk about that, but you guys are smart people. And we were talking about real data and all of that based on real people, not what were reported to by people in power and control who may or may not have an agenda. So thanks for all that feedback. Inevitably, that will help other people moving forward in how they process and accept or reject information that they're given. And so that's what's going on with that. Let's make sure we are connected. Looks like we are. Everybody can hear us. Please, somebody put out the word for people to refresh here in the chat if they're not hearing any sound and that kind of thing, because sometimes YouTube plays with us when we begin to start these shows. Now, today we're going to get into some early programming that was pointing forward to our current reality in the animated Batman series from 1992, more specifically episode 33, and it aired on the 5th of November. Now, we've been talking all about the 5th of November, Samhain, linking it to Donald Trump, haven't we? And these time travel portals, these standing stones, Scotland, the stones of Callanish, Outlander, Highlander, there can be only one. Connor MacLeod, Clan MacLeod, Mary Ann MacLeod. And in this particular episode, they actually speak the name Dawn. Now, the way they speak it is Catwoman donning her costume. But we know what this is really about. In the episode, they also mention a virus, and they mention a cure that came out before the disease ever came out. Now, we're going to take a look at this episode called Cat Scratch Fever, and you get to decide what all this means. I'm going to present the evidence, the foreknowledge, and you get to decide what all this means. Let's take a look at Cat Scratch Fever, the 33rd episode of the Batman animated series. They came out on the 5th of November, 1992. Here we go.
But I'm warning you, Miss Kyle, if you ever don your Catwoman. But I'm warning you, Miss Kyle, if you ever don your Catwoman costume again to violate the law, I'll not only revoke probation, I'll throw the book at you.
Now, for those of you that don't know, Cat Scratch Fever is a real disease. It's real, so real that myself and my two children contracted it in 2002. And it was so serious that we all had to get chest x-rays to ensure that the lymph nodes in our lungs had not swollen to the point that it would impede breathing.
Even with a species this large, the system is something to behold. The speed at which the toxin overtakes the animal system is something to behold. Careful, sir. One little nip and the toxin will spread through you with the same virulence. There. You can see the change almost instantly.
Remember, speed is of the essence. Remember the essence. Is of the essence. Remember, speed is of the essence. Remember, speed is of the essence.
Warp
You're my very own.
speed. Warp speed. Now, as you just saw, an entire animated episode was dedicated to the topic of cat scratch fever in this Batman series. Remember, Trump is Batman. We already figured that out. Casey, what are you talking about? Trump is not Batman. Yes, he is. Batman versus Superman. You see it right here. Trump Tower in the IBM building. Batman versus Superman. In the middle, what looks to be like a syringe with the pump here and the body of the syringe here and the needle. Let's keep watching, because in this episode, Catwoman is stuck in between a love triangle with Batman and Superman.
Own private probation officer. How often would you like me to check in? Bruce, I like you a lot, but as a friend.
So, obviously, the use of the word Dawn is very peculiar in this, right? It doesn't really fit the context. Why would the judge say don the costume, right? And so basically, the backdrop of this episode is that these villains were experimenting on dogs and cats, injecting them with a pathogen that turns them essentially rabid. You heard him say speed is of the essence. That's like warp speed. And Catwoman is stuck in this love triangle between Batman and Superman. So, what is this all about, this love triangle? Well, we determined that Catwoman is representative of basically Russia, and more specifically, Melania and Ivana. Now, I know that both of them are not from Russia, but it's this part of the world, Eastern Europe, which of course the borders are constantly changing as Russia tries to absorb these different countries. So, for all intents and purposes, on a spiritual level, the Catwomen are Ivana and Melania, which of course have the cat eyes. It is their signature thing that they have. And Superman is the IBM building, and Batman is Trump Tower, which from the air looks like a bat, doesn't it? Like a bat boomerang, a bat umbrella. So, essentially, how does China fit into this? Well, IBM was purchased by China, or at least a very large part of it was purchased by China. So, China and Russia are allies. So, Catwoman becomes the Chinese connection, doesn't she? So, in this episode, the villain is Roland Daggett, which you just saw in the front of the laboratory where they're doing these experiments on the dogs and cats. Roland Daggett. And he's the one behind this disease. Well, Roland Daggett has one anagram. Donald Tart Egg. What's a tart egg? Tart means sour. A rotten, sour egg is anagram for Roland Daggett. Now, at this point, Catwoman gets bit by her cat, Isis. Let's keep watching here. She contracts cat scratch fever.
Our sources tell us that Daggett's pharmaceuticals arm is coming out with a hot new drug, some sort of antitoxin.
Oh, what have they done to you, my precious?
You two yabos wouldn't have noticed, but she's been bitten. She can run from us, but not the toxin.
Now, she can run from us and not the toxin. Now, the inference here obviously is some kind of rabies type disease, right? Makes the animals go crazy. They start biting people. Okay. Now, in case you didn't know, when a cat has cat scratch fever, they don't go crazy like they have rabies. They're just normal. Because if we would have known that our cats had cat scratch fever, we'd have known it. The cat didn't attack us. We picked up the pathogen just by being around the cats. They were actually very nice cats, very mellow. You would have never known they had cat scratch fever, but they had it. So this episode is mixing a couple different components, isn't it? It's mixing rabies and cat scratch fever together, which suggests that this may be the future pandemic. This may be what's in store for the next wave of what they will call a pandemic. So, you heard the villain say she cannot run from the toxin. The toxin is the ribbon of Revelation 6:2, carried by the white horse who's wearing a crown. Who is the white horse? It's likely Apollyon, Apollo. Toxon means bow, like the bow and arrow, or a ribbon, which is essentially a less stiff bow, isn't it? If you look at the bow and arrow, a bow is a flattened piece of wood, isn't it? It's a ribbon, but it's rigid. But both are flat. Now, there's all kinds of other, things that the bow could represent, but essentially some people have compared it to a strand of DNA, which looks like a ribbon as well, a twisted ribbon. But regardless, all this symbolism is being represented here in this animated episode.
Oh.
What's this?
Isis bit me. It's not her fault. They did.
But if the plague is introduced via stray dogs and cats, it will blanket Gotham City within weeks.
Days, actually.
Viral antitoxins. For a plague that doesn't exist.
So, a plague that doesn't exist, they already had the cure. You heard him earlier say warp speed or speed is of the essence. We already know Trump is Batman. What else do you need to hear at this point? The cure was made before the disease. Apollyon, the white horse rider of Revelation, he brings the disease and he brings the cure according to ancient mythology. So, Batman holds on to the cure, and he's chased by a rabid dog onto, you guessed it, a sub-zero lake, where he drops the cure into freezing water, because it has to be held at sub-zero temperatures, but yet the cure still survives in the deep cold. Hopefully this is all starting to sound familiar.
Yet.
No!
There, he's got it. Now, this cure, I don't know if you guys just heard this, but they're now saying that the cure can be inhaled. They have an inhalant. Like you would inhale for asthma. Unbelievable. Now, I don't show it, but he actually gives Catwoman the cure by spraying the inhalant in her face.
No one could withstand this degree of hypothermia.
Guy's gotta be
Except the cure.
an ice cube by now.
So there you go. Now I'll put links to all of this in the pinned comment for you guys to go over. But essentially, they already knew the plan back in 1992. And tomorrow, what I have for you is a montage of 2017 videos that we have done that show a Chinese pathogen catching the jet stream, going over the Pacific Ocean, landing on the west coast of America to spread a disease. This was 2017, and still those videos are sitting at a few thousand views. This shows you how asleep people are. Even when warned, a lot of people will still be in denial. All right, short show today. Let's go into the chat here, see what you guys are up to. All right, cat is out of the bag. Good day, everyone. Keep the faith. See no evil, hear no evil. All right. Yes, that's what I was talking about, his will. The inhaler. Think of the odds, right? Many of you saw that I uploaded this video, scheduled this show a couple days ago, right? And lo and behold, in the news, an inhaler, a new cure, right? How does this keep happening over and over again? Well, obviously, God's trying to warn people. Obviously, God wants his people to believe in his son and be saved, right? All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to pop off of here. I'll go ahead and get this video edited for tomorrow. These will be 2017 videos in which we talked about a pandemic that would sweep across the world. And so I will see you guys tomorrow. Much love. Take care and be safe, everybody.